like also looking into like the movies and everything that's like actually a thing right now. It's like it's not just one person doing it. It's like they have a team of people.
Oh yeah,
you know,
right.
like doing this section and this section.
Right.
It's like, on the other hand, it's just me trying to do it all, and you know, it can't be done in one semester.
Oh no, probably not.
Yeah.
Not unless you were superhuman and
Yeah.
didn't sleep and didn't do anything else. Just sitting in the
Exactly.
lab. Yeah. Wow. That's wild. So you will be what, trained or whatever to kind of not just doing the specific art, but sort of like concept, style, design. I mean, not design like in drawing. What am I trying to say? You know, like get the theme or get the mood or the feel of stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
It is, yeah. I think, I mean, that comes into play with everything. But for some reason, like as you were explaining, I was just thinking branding of, you know, a restaurant,
Yeah.
wine, I don't know, crayons, whatever. It's definitely like that product that whatever the person wants to sell, like why they want to sell it, like why is it even in the market. It's, you know, like it's a lot that goes like on your shoulders. Because like, you know, I want you to succeed. So it's like, how can I explain all of this through just a visual, you know, aspect? Like maybe it's just with the colors or with the typography. Like I said, type is so impactful. We never see it because it's like, I mean, see it every day, just forget about it, then don't really realize that it's there. But you know, all of it just comes into play with branding, and I mean anything else as well, with like marketing materials too.
Yeah, because I worked as an artist for a long time. People kept getting me to do things that were rightfully the domain of a graphic designer, and every now and then I do it something that's like decent. It's like, oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
But for the most part, when I look at it, it's like, oh, that's not very good. But because, you know, the people are cheap, and it's like, hey, you're free, and
like,
you know this stuff, so you do it. And I would think that they must be really frustrating, because I'm sure people are hitting you up all the time to do free stuff for them.
Yeah, that comes up all the time. Even just like the Facebook page that we have, like as like graphic design students, and I think it's like open to the public, because we get like random people like saying, oh, we want, I don't know, you to like design our app, and then you like hit them up and you're like, yeah, so like what are the pricing, you know, what is it exactly that you want? And they just want you to do everything for free or for like food, which is fine. Like I would honestly, if it's family, I will do anything for food, but like we can't just live off food. We gotta pay stuff. We gotta, you know, you never know what kind of life I live. But yeah, it's hard to just tell them, especially the prices that we have. I mean, even as students, I understand, you know, it can be pricey, but you know, just like how I said before, it's the education that goes behind it. Like there's a reason why I'm doing things this way and not your way.
Right, exactly. So that's we've actually made it through half the show without ever talking about immigration at all.
Hey.
That's weird. Well, it's not that unusual with this show, but I'm feeling compelled to sort of like nudge the conversation sort of generally back towards immigration. So you would be a first generation immigrant, right? That's how you would describe yourself, or how do you think of that?
You know, we were talking about this with friends. Like, we don't know if I would be the first generation or like my children would be the first generation.
Because I describe myself as second generation because my parent came here.
Then I guess so. I don't know if there's like a textbook definition for it. But so yeah, I guess I would be, because I say I'm a first generation college student because I'm the first one in the family to eventually graduate. Yeah. So I guess
So you would be
first generation here.
So you're my senior and I'm your junior.
Yeah.
How that works. Something
just
like that. I was here first. You're second.
Yeah.
No, but I think it has an effect on, what am I trying to say? How you experience the society. Like, okay, we're both in the same, we probably travel in some of the same circles and do some of the same things, but because I was born here, there's a sort of rootedness to that experience that just, it's like, well, this is the only world I know, as opposed to, well, this is a newish. I mean, maybe you've been here since you were like 6 months old or something, but even, assuming that you have some memory of where you were before, it gives you this different sense, right?
Yeah,
do you find that's true in your case, or did you come young enough when you weren't, it just didn't?
See, I think I came at the age of 6 and I turned 7 like a couple months after.
So.
But I mean, I remember like the house that I lived in. I remember the block and like maybe 2 blocks over. Like I remember just that environment. I'm not sure like if I go back now, it's completely different. I mean, talk to family that's still over there and it's like the street is like called something else, or like the tree that I always saw is like torn down, whatever. But like those little things that, I remembered are just, I guess they're kind of like my image of like what that experience was like.
Right.
But being here, I have like this whole outlook on just life, how things work, how things don't work. But I also have those experiences of where I was before that, really shape, and I think ideally shape exactly how I am today. Like, little things here and there, like my education, teachers, professors that I've had my whole life. Of course, they like guided my mind to like, the knowledge that I have. But then at the same time, just where I was born just opens up other views that you may not see or you may not encounter. And it's, I don't know, it definitely changes by generation or even the year that you come in from.
Right.
Because I came in to the U.S., I think it was 2 years or a year after 9/11, and that environment already in and of itself was like very tense, just in the airport. But it's something that, if you would have came in like 3 years before that, it's super chill. It's nobody's suspecting that you're gonna do something, but I don't know. It just really depends on like where does you come from. But I think for me, it's both experiences, both locations, definitely shape who I am today.
So if I said the word home, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Here or there?
Yeah. I think it's unique for me because I'm an only child, so really home has always been wherever my parents are at.
Okay.
So when I was in Guatemala, I was 2 years without my parents. They were here before I was.
Right.
And just having that, never being with them for those 2 years was something I don't remember whatsoever. There's no memory of that. I just remember like snippets of just being with my grandparents, and they're really my second like parents, to be honest.
Right.
And they're the only grandparents that I had too. So coming here to the States and being with my parents, that whole mentality of home, it was never Guatemala, it's never going to be here, it's just wherever my parents are at. So it doesn't matter if we are actually like at a physical home, at like the parking lot, car, whatever, wherever they are at, I'll be like the 3 of us together. That is home.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's so unlike my life experience that it's hard for me to even picture it. But I can grasp it as an intellectual concept.
Yeah.
And get what that's like. That's what's in it. Well, the reason I asked was, we're talking about art, and we're pretty much like both going, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like we're on the same page, but we definitely started at different
Yeah, we started at different points.
And so what I was, I guess, getting at or wondering about is how did we end up getting to the same place?
Yeah.
And I guess you came here young enough that the sort of the, how can I describe it? There are different processes of formation of personality, identity, or whatever, and the really early stuff is just like language. It's some culture, I guess, very simplified culture, very based the broad outlines of culture, like people are nice to each other, or people don't talk to each other unless they know it. There's some really rough edge stuff, but there's also just this feeling of what. So that's why I asked about home, because when I think of home, I think of the house that I grew up in.
Yeah.
And so I think of like what it was like to sit in the grass, and watch my mother hang clothes up on the line, pictures that I wouldn't see now because people don't do that. But for me, that's more an age thing than anything else. But it could also be a cultural thing too. I mean, there are probably countries where people still do that all the time. You know, but here in the U.S., everybody's got a washer and dryer.
Yeah,
they don't,
put them in there.
Yeah, they don't do that. But that's a distinctive memory. I don't have a lot of memories of being a little kid, but that's a very distinctive memory. Sitting there, the smell of lilacs, because I think we had a lilac bush.
Yeah.
And watching the clothes like billowing on the line, just kind of sitting in the grass going, "Whoa," you know, whatever little kids are thinking about, you know, and that to me, like whatever that mood or that atmosphere is, that's what I picture as home. Even though it's not the family, it's not the people, it's just that sort of
that
sense.
Whole experience for you was home.
And in a way, it's as much nostalgia as it is anything else, because it wouldn't matter where I went, I probably will never find that again, because it was a different world. I mean, the air was different, the sky was different. You know, this was a long time ago. So, but that's the kind of, that difference from then to now is similar to people traveling from place to place. They have that same kind of like, well, home to me is the mountains or the sea or something like that, and it's like, you don't have any of that around here. So it's a really different kind of space, you know. But I think that sort of thing affects, I don't know, what people's expectations, maybe, like what they hope for, what they long to create for themselves. And like if they imagine having kids someday, it's like, well, I want my kids to have this kind of experience that I had, you know, and how do they get to that place? I don't think I really have a point here. I'm not going towards anything, but
I, like you were saying, like home, like having that idea of like what home was, and it's like I can remember like every place that we were at, but because I guess I'm too American to be Guatemalan, but I'm too Guatemalan to be too American, so it's like I'm in this limbo of like where do I belong? Like where do I fall in? And it's, I think really for the longest time, my parents always like put that in my head where it's like wherever the three of us were, like doesn't matter, you know, if we were struggling financially, physically, whatever it may be, you know, having the three of us, that was home. Like, because I guess also we were like so far away from each other for those 2 years. And I bet it was like hard for them, but like for me, I mean, don't even remember it, so must have been hard. Must have repressed all of those 2 years in my mind.
Well, it's like the embodiment of that expression, home is where the heart is, because that's pretty much
really
your home. It's like, well, wherever we're together, we're fine, you know. But it's an interesting thing, because I think that a lot of people reject immigration or reject immigrants because, well, I don't think this, I pretty much know it, because of difference. It's like, well, you look different, or you act different, or you talk different, or you something is different about you.
Something's different.
And it's one reason why I always wonder how they can extend that kind of thinking to, particularly to Dreamers / DACA people, because you're talking about people who are pretty much have always been here. Or enough of it that it's like there's not difference. You're not coming in with like a little hat and some crazy outfit and like, I speak backwards. I sound like Yoda when I talk and all this stuff. You're not doing that. You're just like, hey, I'm just me, and I'm you know, I look like anybody else. How do people get to rejecting that? That's what I don't understand. I
think it's such a hard concept, because I think for them it's so, they see it as like one whole thing. It's like as if we're the criminals, like we're the embodiment of like whatever law they think we broke, when like we were brought here for a reason, and at a young age we have no choice in what is going on, but at the same time we're not blaming our parents. And even I think there are some immigrants who might blame their parents for like the situation that they're at, but I would probably say that the majority don't, because they are just thankful for where they're at and what they've been able to accomplish, either just like as a family or just like as an individual where they're at. We would never put that blame on them. We're just so happy at like the efforts that they put into it, and we see that because we lived it, or we saw a cousin live it like firsthand, while somebody who's already been here for forever, I don't know, they've never lived outside of Illinois, just gonna stay here forever, they don't have that experience. They don't, and they're not willing to open themselves up. But really just opening up, I guess, that pushing yourself to those, you know, spaces that you feel like you don't belong in, that, I think that is where, like, that first step comes in of, like, you know, there is another world. Let me go back to my safe space, you know, meditate on, like, what happened, and then go back out and see, like, okay, you know, this wasn't too bad the second time around. Let me just go back, just keep doing that, and each time, like, you go further a little bit more, and it's, I think, slowly changes minds, and you meet more people, you understand that they're not that different from you. I mean, you may have the same likes, you know, same illustrator, graphic designer, you know, pretty much same field. You know, they're not, they could live 2 blocks from you. You can pick up the same kind of apples, whatever. I mean, we're not, like, weird. We're just normal human beings just trying to live life. But just getting that idea that you are not that different from us. That just, it's so hard. Like, it sounds so simple because it's like one phrase, you know, you got this. Tattoo it on your arm, live with it forever. But it's so hard to, like, wrap, you know, your mind around, because you've been so used to this same environment, and then you see someone just sort of, like, break it. It's like, you start questioning it. It's like, why are you here? What are your reasons for being here? But I think there's no, like, definite answer with it. It's just what the best that I could say really to anyone, and even when I give, like, the trainings with staff, faculty, and even students now that we're going to have one next week, really pushing yourself to those spaces. And we know that you know someone that, you know, is just different from you, whether it be skin color, height, likes and dislikes, whatever it may be. And, you know, if you've learned to accept someone that, you know, looks just like you but has different likes and tastes, I'm pretty sure you can do that with someone that looks very different from you and still has those different likes and tastes. It's something to do.
Well, that was one reason why I sort of took the conversation where it was and talked about the art stuff for a while, because I was hoping in some way to, like, share with people who were listening, like, I kind of wanted them to forget your introduction and then just go into, oh, these people are talking about something that is, you know,
really.
that they have in common, and that's interesting. You know, they both have the similar experience. And then the reason I brought it back around to this now is because it's like to remind them, like, oh yeah, but there is a difference. That by law, we are totally different people.
You know, really.
So, what about that is so important that it erases everything else? What about those little words on the piece of paper? Or, who's can check which box? You know, which list your name is on. What about that is so important that it erases all the other things that are in common? I mean, we might as well have done the same business. You know, basically. I mean, we're both art, both in art, and both doing, you know, that same kind of thing. How does this one thing make all that huge difference, that people, like, actually go out, get angry, and they go march in the street sometimes, and they like, you know, they're, like, passionately upset about it. They're very angry at it. Like, and you, like, even, like, on our side, like, we try to, like, understand and grasp, like, where they're coming from. But there's so much emotion behind it that it's never just, like, us or just one individual. Like, there is a lot behind that person's, like, feelings, that it's not just, like, the superficial of, like, oh, my parents broke a law, you know, kind of I am right now too, but it's so much more, where it could be someone that we were, as a ICOS, we met with a group on campus that they wanted to host these events that, just by their name, they sounded like very provocative, in a way that we knew
something was going to go down. And we tried to speak to them about how, you know, these names, or even just, we tried to first understand where they were coming from,
Right.
and why they wanted to do this event. And, you know, they had good reasoning as to, they wanted to educate people. They wanted to, you know, inform someone that may not be as aware of, like, news, society, whatever it may be, into what could happen if, I don't know, we built the wall, or what could happen if affirmative action was real. And the reasoning behind what they were thinking, I mean, it's valid, it's fair, but the way that they wanted to execute it was not so much. And they were aware that what they were going to do, you know, might elicit, you know, negative responses, and they were kind of like okay with it, but at the same time, their name, or the representation that they have, it already has a negative impact. They should be aware of that. And, you know, we tried to let them just understand, you know, other ways that they could take it, you know, partnering with other cultural houses, partnering with groups that are ethnically different from them. You know, that could just ease whatever message that they want to get across. And, you know, it's hard to kind of understand, I guess, really, like, the enemy. Like, you may think that they're the enemy, but at the same time, you know, they think we're the enemy. And it's like, there's this quote from a movie that you always think, like, the bad guy is always, like, wrong, but there is deep in their thoughts, emotions, heart, whatever, like, they think that they're being the heroes. They think that they're actually trying to do something good, but either they're just misinformed, or they just don't know how to get this information out, and then they do it in a negative way. And then that just builds up, because people it's rare to give people second chances. And I think that's something in both lines of, just, if you're trying to be, I guess, an activist, trying to, like, support something, or you're trying to not support something, you know, understanding both sides and giving a gazillion second chances to everyone that you meet, because everyone needs to learn.
Yeah. Well, I think it's very likely that this is one of those topics where the thing that people are upset about, or that really bothers them, is not the thing they think is what bothers them. It's like homophobia. You're not homophobic because it bothers you who somebody else sleeps with. You're homophobic because something about that touches you in a place that you don't like. That's
it's
like, oh,
uncomfortable. You've never felt it before.
It's you're doing something to me that I don't like, so I don't. So there's something wrong with you because you're doing this to me. How can I, just by existing, do something to you? I don't know, but apparently just my very existence touches you in a way that is uncomfortable. And to me, that whole immigration thing seems a lot like that. The people are so upset about it. It's not what they think it is. So all the information and the education in the world is not going to do any good unless you can figure out what it is that's actually underneath it all. You know?
And it's always whatever's dug deep in the ground. Like, it's never the surface level stuff.
And they probably don't know either. So
really, that's very true.
You can't ask them. Why are you so mad? Because you're like, no, I'm not.
It's like, no, you're misinformed. What do you mean?
I never did that. And I never would. So, next problem. They're like, no, but you are. You know, it's just your very existence challenges my reality, or whatever. You know, and that's just weird. Well, we're getting very near the end of our hour here. I'm sorry. You mentioned an event. Maybe this would be a good time to throw out some events.
So I'm part of ICAUSE.
Right.
Acronyms are not my forte, but we are just made up of undocumented students, or allies, that are creating trainings for faculty and staff and students to learn more about the laws of immigration, student stories, and just learn about the people that are around them, because the population, even within just campus, it's growing. And we don't know specific numbers, but we just know that there's more. And there are less and less just coming out. And we want to get, you know, whoever is, like, staying in the shadows, we're going to let them know that, you know, there's people out here that could help them out. And
Right.
providing these trainings, the student ally trainings, they are allowing faculty and staff to get more informed and not feel so uncomfortable or weird or like awkward when, you know, a student may come up and say, hey, I'm undocumented, could you help me out with X, Y, and Z? And, you know, I would come up and say this to like 20 different people, and they would all just not know what I mean. They don't know what my situation is. So I would always end up at La Casa. Everywhere I turn, always at La Casa. And now it's allowing La Casa to just sort of like send this information out to other people. So, you know, we're having more representation of allies within more colleges, more departments, and hoping that, you know, students get more comfortable with just being, you know, themselves and not being so afraid of coming out to other people. I mean, it's a struggle for everyone, and everyone has like different challenges, but we know that at some point you will tell, whether it be a friend, professor, or a dean, or TA, whoever it may be, that you may need help with something. We're trying to just provide more information, more support, and let them know that it's completely okay.
Yeah, it's hard to get across. It's like, it's a problem.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's not something that's wrong with you.
Yeah, no, it's never,
You know?
yeah, it's not something that you, like, identify with. It's just, unfortunately, like, you were given this label. And you're trying to get this across to other people. And even though we already had 2 faculty staff trainings, the next one is April 20th for students. And that one's, I think, we have to shape it differently because it's for students. Like, the information may sort of like still be the same, but we have to, it has to be applied in a different way. It's not like they're gonna all become, I don't know, activists and just go join the front line. But it's just getting that, it's more of a friendship kind of relationship, and just try and like get that across. But yeah, we're hoping to have more in the upcoming year and doing more like private I guess trainings for a specific department or whatever, you know, housing may need it. You never know who is going to need more of these trainings, but they're being offered. We're telling people about them and hoping that the word gets out so we can get more of these people that just seem like they can't do anything actually be involved and become allies for undocumented students.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you're doing it. Thank you for all your hard work.
Yeah, no, of course.
It takes courage.
Yeah, yeah.
It really does. I mean, even all things aside, I have to admit that I have been increasingly heartened as time has gone by the incredible incompetence of our new administration. They would like to be really awful and do awful things, but they don't seem to be able to do it very well. So there are people being hurt. There are people who will be hurt. There's no doubt about it. They are going to break a lot of things and hurt a lot of people. But thankfully, they're doing it so badly that they don't seem to be able to
They just can't get a hold of themselves.
really accomplish it. So all those comparisons to Nazis, not quite. The Nazis were actually pretty good at what they did. You know, very effective people. These guys, not so much.
Yeah.
And that's good. It's all for the good. Anyway, on that note, I hate to say it, but I'm probably going to have to let you go. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you so much. I hope you'll come back again sometime.
Of course. Got one more year. See what happens.
Yes. And I know that you guys send stuff to us at the forum.
Yes,
you know.
yeah, we do.
So I'll just have to pay more attention to it because I get like 2 million